hey, welcome to Indian Cine-MANIACS. What's going on, Maniacs?
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, how's it going, Ralph?
Oh, fantastic. John, where are you right now?
On the
You're in a
road. I
hotel
am
room.
in Cleveland, Ohio.
Why would
Very
anybody want to go to Cleveland? No, I'm just kidding. Why
They
are you
could
in
have a
Cleveland?
serious medical problem. You don't know.
Yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
That's it. What's
Baseball-
the name of the team now?
The Guardians.
Oh, the Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah.
It's as bad as the Washington Commanders.
Yeah. It's
But-
okay. It's effectively woke.
It's not woke.
That was for Drew.
It's the right thing to do. That's all.
Oh, no, absolutely. It's absolutely.
Yeah,
the right
listen,
thing
if
to
you
do.
want to take a stand against empathy and equity, that's up to you.
Absolutely.
That's
I mean, I'm
John.
trying to
Against
get this-
empathy and what was the other one? Empathy and what?
Equity.
Right. Equity. All right. So tonight we're going to talk about a film called, see if I can get this, Kumbalangi Nights, 2019 film directed by Madhu Narayanan.
Cool.
Maybe Rayanan. I don't know.
Madhu?
Narayanan. Narayanan. Anyway, first time director, by the way. This was his first
Oh,
film.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
I read that in the old IMDb. It's a film about a family, kind of a blended family, four brothers, basically half brothers that all live together in I think it's a fishing village, a tourist fishing village, kind of.
It's an
Because they're-
eco resort.
an eco resort but they fish that eco resort. They actually work there or fish there or whatever.
Correct.
And there's an elder brother who has four siblings below him. I don't know all their names. I know his name was Sky or something.
Sajay,
I know Bobby. That one I remember.
Sajay, Boney, Frank, Bobby, and
And,
Frankie.
and Frank, that's right. And Boney was the mute fellow.
Mhm.
And it's their lives and women around their lives. And it's a film about patriarchy, I think, fathers and generations and patriarchal societies. I mean, the one villain in the piece is a guy named Sammy, I think. Was that his name? Sammy?
Tammy.
Shammy?
Yeah.
I mean, he's set up to be evil from the beginning with his perfectly trimmed mustache and the stuff he was doing and how he's part of a family now. He married into a family that had two sisters and a mother and no father. Both these sets of families that we're talking about, the fishing village and this guy's, who ran a tourist hotel or like a bungalow or something.
Looked
Right.
like a B and like an
Airbnb
B&B.
kind
Yeah,
of
like
thing.
an Airbnb. That's what it seemed like.
If you go to the resort and you want to stay at like a local area, it's connected. Seems to be connected to a resort.
Yeah, and there's a scene where a tourist boat goes by and they're taking pictures, and Boney's out there fishing, and a tourist kind of looks at him, and then she becomes part of the family down the road.
She was giving him the eyes.
I mean, it's a fascinating story about fathers, mothers, fathers taking over for other people. There's a scene we can talk about later where something happens to one of the characters, and he ends up taking care of the mother and the child of that person's, the baby of that person. And I love this film. I thought this film was both beautiful. The photography, the cinematography is gorgeous. Some of the scenes of the water
God,
and the
yeah.
fishing stuff that they did with the big nets, which have a big, the big
Ralph, this came out in 2019, so we'll have a spoiler section.
2019. I mean, we're talking
I mean,
about how
that's-
many years ago?
That's not that long ago. I mean,
Well, how many years is that?
Did we spoil
Four.
Citizen Kane? I can't remember.
Four. But I mean, there's spoilers. Do you just want
That's okay. We'll do non-spoiler, and then we'll switch over to spoiler.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So, it's a story of these two families, both where people are trying to marry other people. People have been married to other people. People are living in a house together, blended family kind of deal. I don't want to say caste system, but definitely there is something going on about people's levels in the community and who a person should marry or not marry based on whether they have a job or based on their family, how their family's looked upon.
Or if they live on shit land.
Or they live on shit land where dead dogs and cats go to be abandoned. Not dead, but cats are abandoned there.
With only one road in.
One road in. And just how people are trying to take care of their families based on, what's going on in their lives. And I just thought this film, the characters are all memorable, each one of them.
Yep.
Good, bad, or indifferent. They're all the good ones are very likable. The bad one is very non-likable. Right from the get-go, there's no question about that. as we say all the
there's horror
time,
movie music every time you see
there
it.
is tension. Well, the subtitles are tense music, right? And it turned in a bit of a horror film towards the end. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
And I just found first of all, the cinematography. Some of the scenes of the water, the glowing water that they step in, and it glows
I'd like to
blue
know
and
more
all that.
about that.
And like I said, the fishing scenes, and I don't know if this is a movie about the honor of being poor. I can't quite figure out what the message ultimately is, but I think ultimately the message is family is the most important thing in your life.
You
No matter what
marry
that
any scoundrel.
That's the message.
right. No matter what that family looks
Yeah.
like, or
And
looks
no one
to
makes
other people.
Baby sit in the corner.
No one makes Baby. Yeah, one of the characters is named Baby, Bobby and Baby. Anyway, I just thoroughly enjoyed this film. I couldn't wait to watch it all the way through to the end because I knew something was gonna come up with everybody. And I just thought this movie was fantastic. And I'll say it right now: all the money was on the screen. I know we got comments that we don't say that enough anymore, but
No,
there it
someone
was.
want to know why you didn't say it.
Right.
That's what they said.
The film is actually absolutely gorgeous. The characters are believable. As always, a little dramatic in the Indian films. They don't mind showing men crying, which is a good thing. A lot of men crying in this one. Anyway, what'd you guys think?
slapping.
A lot of slapping. What'd you think?
Well, I love a good film about brothers. I'm one of 4 brothers, and we used to fight quite a bit when we were younger, but it was pretty even fighting. The oldest could always beat up the youngest. So we kept order. Our family was like a prison. The parents were like the guards. The kids were like the inmates who kept their own order, So I like this picture of these brothers who are all very different, and their relationship with each other is very different. Sanjay, the oldest brother, was the father's son from a previous marriage. And Boney, the oldest brother, was the mother's child from a previous marriage. So blood-wise, Sanjay and Boney are not related. But then the 2 younger children, Bobby and Frankie, are direct brothers, and they're half brothers to both of the other ones. But they really don't feel that distinction too much. They definitely are a family. They definitely have problems. They definitely fight. Boney is most outside of the family. But when it seems he's mute, but when he speaks, like when they're the 2 brothers in the bar and they're about to get into a fight, and Boney sends a message over, it's like they stop immediately. So you get the sense that Boney is the bad. And later when they are fighting, Boney comes in and puts a stop to it.
Yeah.
So you think that Boney in particular is going to be really a kick-ass, and that things later are going to go his way right away. But
Right. And, he's also very protective of Frankie, the youngest one, too.
yes,
Very protective. And
Frankie's embarrassed by his family. Like,
and
he's
the
a
house.
soccer player, and he's with his team, and they're like, "Hey, let's all go over to your house." And he's like, "Can't. Everyone has chicken pox," which is not completely not true. And he's the one who's going to go to school. He's got like a scholarship
Right.
to go to a good school. Bobby, the second youngest brother, doesn't work. Not really.
Smokes a lot of weed.
Yeah. Sanji has a partner. I forgot his partner's name.
VJ.
And he works, but VJ does all the work. And Boney, it's quite, I'm not quite sure because he's not in the film as much of what he does. But, it's a matter of, these are guys who are sort of like in Arrested Development. And in the beginning, none of them have girlfriends, and none of them are have quote unquote careers. Though the water's there and they can fish and they go out and catch fish to eat. But, they're sort of like in prolonged adolescence in a way, in my opinion. But, Bobby falls in love with a girl, but she falls in love. She's been in love with him since they were in school together, and he knew it. And when Bobby faces, this is the second family that you mentioned, where there's a mother and 2 sisters, all under the influence now of Shammy, who's who's like, I got a career. He's the barber in
Right.
town. And he's very appearance oriented. He's got this mustache that sort of defines him. And because he is the titular head of the family, the youngest daughter, a baby, sort of has to get his approval to marry Bobby. And they come to meet Shammy, and Shammy and his business partner essentially humiliate Bobby and Sanji. So eventually,
When they ask him for her hand in marriage, and he basically says, "You don't have a job. Your family's a bunch of scoundrels."
you live on
No.
shit land.
While he's shaving him with a straight edge.
Yeah, he's got like the blade right down there at one point.
Yeah.
You know, so the brothers, despite all their feuding and their differences, you know, decide they want to help Bobby marry this girl. And it's also interesting that this family and the four brothers are Christians.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting that their mother, after the father had died, the mother left them to essentially, looks like, became a nun or something.
Mhm.
She went to they called it the Gospel Road. So they can see her, but like when they're in trouble and they're trying to pull the family together, like, Mom, can you come out for us like a week or something? And she's like, nah, doesn't work like that. You know, so, you know, I really loved this movie. I felt it was beautiful. You know, I thought the American characters were nice, you know, the tourists. I liked that this was like an eco resort. It's like you're in a place where people are trying to have a resort and maintain the environment and the natural look of the place. And I thought, you know, unlike a lot of the films, the brothers were all really well defined. You definitely knew who they were.
Oh, no
And
question.
eventually, they all got entanglements, you know, through good or, you know, through tragedy or happiness, you know. And this little house, which is a shack, which was distinct for having a Western toilet as opposed to an Indian toilet. So, and there's other things that are spoilers we'll bring in later, but I really loved this film. I thought it was great.
All right.
I think part of those characters being so distinctive that was really special was the acting in this movie was amazing. I mean, you know, on the page and in the performances, I mean, you meet Saji like, to eating, you already start to get a sense of him. And you get a sense of his relationship with Frankie before they're on screen together. You get a sense of his relationship with Bobby, and then all of a sudden they're grabbing each other's balls wrestling, and you get a sense of the rest of the family's opinion about that. And I just thought it was really, like, all the acting was really amazing. But I have to say, you know, we've been watching a lot of these movies and we've seen a lot of people. I'm going to hopefully pronounce his name correctly. Faasil. He's become one of the most memorable actors, I think, because he is a jerk and then turns out to be a monster. No spoilers yet in this movie. But he's also a jerk and ultimately really kind of sympathetic in Super Deluxe. And it's the same guy.
Mhm.
And it was really just kind of amazing to see that. I love when somebody can really make me feel strongly very different emotions. Not just like, oh, he played a good guy, he played a bad guy.
Which
They
one
both
was
felt
he
like
in
real people.
Super
He's
Deluxe?
Mughal, who comes home to find his wife's dead college friend in
Oh,
the
he's the
fridge.
one that plays drunk, does the drunk
he's the
scene.
Right,
same
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Oh
same
wow,
guy.
same guy. Wow.
That
And
was
he's-
him?
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover. They mentioned some of this in the movie too. There's a lot of crossover between Tamil and Malayalam, and so Super Deluxe. There's a woman at my office. I might have mentioned this. She is Tamil, and so we were talking about movies, and she said basically, "Oh, we haven't watched this one or that one because we really only watch Tamil movies." And I said, "Oh, well, we're gonna watch a Malayalam movie," and she goes, "Oh, my boyfriend's Malayalam. We watch those too." And so there is also, I think, some cross between the industries as well. But you know, this movie, you were talking about, what is this movie about? I mean, this movie to me is, we've touched on this a little, it's about people who have to make their own family, and they're making it, you know, in defiance of their blood family's rejection or will, and they're collecting people together. And I love movies like that, like Boogie Nights, Guardians of the Galaxy, Cold Mountain. Like there's just all different kinds of movies about that. And it was very
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, but it was very
Family.
moving to me when at the end, like Sati, who is widowed when Vijay dies, and she has the baby, and then she's at their house with the brothers, and that I thought the story was going to be like to protect her honor or something. Saji's going to have to marry her, But at the end, she's like, I've got to go. And he basically says, you know, you stay here as long as you want. You're like our sister.
Right.
And that was really beautiful. And the whole movie, I mean, just gorgeous. I hope this guy makes more movies, but if he only makes one, this will be one of those things that's like, it's as distinctive as Night of the Hunter or something. Like, I had not seen an Indian movie like this, and it's gorgeous. And we haven't even talked about the lunatic plot twists at the end. So I really was just thought this was great, and I was really happy to watch another Malayalam film.
Right. Nice. I just love Frankie's smile every time that tourist lady was in the house.
Yeah.
Frankie couldn't take that smile up.
Oh, that was the other thing. I thought, because you know, you watch a movie, you meet people. I thought, okay, Frankie's the main character, so it's going to be about him moving away from his brothers. But it turns out they're all the main character, which I thought was really well handled. It didn't become too episodic. It didn't become too separate. But also the thing that was really good about it, as more things happened, if all of those things that happened to each of these brothers happened to one main character, it'd beggar belief, and you'd be like, oh, it's just a movie. But it felt real. Like, this family has hit a rough patch to different degrees of rough, and they feel like real people, both dealing with it and supporting or not supporting, and ultimately supporting each other. And I thought that made it real. I don't know what it's like to live in a small fishing village in Kerala or anything like that, but I feel like I watched their lives doing just that, and I believed it. So it was a great movie.
That's hard to pull off in the script too, the balance and structure of a multi-character piece like this.
I believe it. I believe it.
But they're all distinct. I mean, they nailed it. So.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They don't look alike either, which is also helpful.
That maybe.
All the brothers had it, and it's obvious why, because they all
different parents, different. Well, you can only have one father, as it was pointed out in the film.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's vulgar to say that, though.
Right.
Well, you know, it's funny because I really enjoyed this film as well. I thought it was really well.
That's like 3 in a row for him.
I know, isn't it crazy? I think maybe it's kind of this, and I don't know if it's just the 3 we've watched or some of the other ones we haven't watched, but the Malayalam films we've watched seem to be a little bit more personal, a little bit more intimate as a general rule. And I shouldn't say that as a general rule. I'm sure they have. What am I saying? We watched that superhero movie, and that was a Malayalam.
But that was intimate for a superhero movie. That was set in a village about saving people in a village. It wasn't about saving the world. And I thought that was a great introduction to Malayalam, in the sense that these movies are smaller, so they have to tell better stories. I kind of believe it.
One of the things I really liked about this film is all of the female characters in the film felt really three-dimensional and really well, drawn. You know what I mean? From baby to the American tourist to the new mother. All of them felt real to me. To the sister-in-law, who I really liked the sister-in-law. I don't know what it was. It's like, she had this kind of weird situation where she's married to this guy who we later find out is a little bit more intense than we think. And then, and if you
can tell she's afraid of him from the whole time.
Yeah. You can tell that just by like that scene with the soccer ball and everything at the very beginning with the kids and their soccer ball and stuff like that. But, this movie, obviously, everybody said it. It's gorgeous. It looks fantastic. But I really thought it was kind of nice the way it really kind of really dug into almost like an everyday romance, because there was multiple ones of them, and you got the feeling where, you have this one guy, the brother-in-law, he's like, no, you got to have a job. You got to do all this. And the funny thing is while I would completely understand that, about saying, hey, I wouldn't want my sister-in-law to go marry some guy who's got very few prospects or whatever. You realize that it's all a lie. Like, the guy can go out and get a great job and become super respectable and wear a suit, and it's still not going to be good enough for this guy, because it's all through him. Like, he makes that comment about, does he deserve to sit with me and eat your mother's food
at this table?
At his table, yeah. So, you do get a lot of those little things as you go. But I will say this, as a barber, I would expect him to have an impeccably manicured mustache. That's just showing off your skill to get better customers. But I do know what you mean. It did have a little snidely whiplash element to it. But yeah, just a great movie. Like I said, all of the relationships felt very real to me. Even with Bobby, being kind of this irrational whiplash kind of jerk to baby a number of times. Like, he would just go from one element to the other, and then she was always willing to kind of take him back, which I wasn't too thrilled with. I almost thought it might have been an interesting way to go if she was just like, yeah, sorry. It was like split. But hey, true love
Well,
conversation.
okay.
But really a really enjoyable film. Um, I will get to this in a little bit, I'm sure. If I had any criticism of it, is the turn at the end is a little hard left for me, in the sense that I was like, really? We're going that way with it. But still at the same time, I still was fine with it. It was like one of those things where you go, okay, maybe a little out there, but at the same time, still overall a very good movie and really enjoyed watching it.
Well, I did like the way that the ending, as it started to happen, the brothers' faces were the
Yeah.
same as my face. Like they literally expressed, "I can't believe this is happening," and I was like, "Oh, that's exactly what I'm feeling."
Yeah,
Even
we'll
as it was
talk about
happening
that
to
whole
them.
thing at the end. 'Cause there's,
Amazing.
yeah, some
First,
good
we go
acting
to,
going on that too. So.
John Boy.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow.
Well, I think part of the problem is, so I'm doing these 10-minute reviews, right? And I'm watching all these movies, and I really like the movies I'm watching. In this one, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but I have to say, for the first 45 minutes to maybe 50 minutes, I just had trouble staying in it. And I think it was a slow burn. And I understand why, because it's a character study and they're building the family structure and all that. I get that. But I'm just telling you, it was hard to get through the first 50 minutes or so for me. And I was like, is the whole movie going to be like this? And it definitely, for me, the second half, I enjoyed it much more than the first half, even with the twist. The location was just amazing, and I say it every show because lately the shows we've been doing, they're taking us someplace we've never been. I've never seen anything like that before in any of these Indian movies. And that scene with the water when they were, the purple or blue, whatever it was just, I mean, the cinematography was great, the acting, and I think the older brother Sanjay and Baby, I thought were the best performances in the movie. I thought they were wonderful. The way she played it, when Bobby was trying to break up with her, not because he didn't love her, because he felt like he wasn't good enough for her. He was starting to buy into it. That's what I thought anyway. And she's still fighting for it, right? And that scene where he got off the boat and walked after and put his head down. And then the scene where he said, do you remember her from high school? And he says, no. But then later on, when he left, he goes, yeah, it would send him a note in high school. So he knew her. I thought that was beautiful. There was some things in the movie I got a little confused about. I won't lie. We'll get into that in the spoiler section. But I liked this movie. I did not love it like you guys liked it. I just found it a little, like I said, the first hour or so, it was just too slow a burn for me. And again, that might be based on some of the movies I've been watching that have been so just not a slow burn like that. So I think that probably did impact the way I saw this. But this was the first one in a while that I had trouble getting through the first part of it. But it redeemed itself in the second half, I have to say. My only criticism is, and I can't believe that's the same actor in Super Deluxe. I absolutely wouldn't have made that connection. And the only thing about his thing, Ralph, you said he was evil in the beginning. He wasn't evil. He was a jerk.
Well, he was they said he's prone to violence right at the beginning.
I know, but the way,
and if he has the wrong plate, if somebody touches his plate or something, they say, and the soccer ball that he kept spiking,
right?
Right.
But they implied it more with his looks and stuff, like he was cartoony bad, like a bad.
We'll get into spoilers why I don't think that was such a shock
for me. What he ended up becoming was very stark compared to where he came from.
Maybe I don't agree.
So for me, I
got you. I understand.
My opinion.
Okay.
So that was my, but other than that, I mean, I liked the movie. I didn't love it like you guys. It was beautiful. Absolutely. And I think the performances were the most grounded about any that we've seen. That's a fact. So that's my thought about it.
All right. Well, let's get into spoilers then. Let's talk
spoiler
about
section.
Okay.
Well, I do want to comment on one thing interesting that John said, that these performances were probably some of the most grounded we've seen in Indian films. But, it's funny because what I like about the Indian films is often they're not so grounded. But when they are grounded like this, I really liked it too. So,
Yeah, but Sean, don't you think some of the movies call for a more over the top? Where this movie absolutely called for grounded.
Well, like you said
Yeah.
earlier, it's a character study. This is a
Right.
character study. It's
Exactly.
not one of like the gold one we saw, the G whatever that G gold GHF or G whatever GFG whatever.
Starring a guy
KGF.
called
Thank you, Drew.
Rockstar
Drew always gets it right. The you know, that guy's over the top because he has
Right.
to be over the
Just
top.
a little.
And I just watched. We're going to do a review of Runway 34. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Oh, I want to see that one. Yeah.
Oh my God. And that guy directed himself in this, and boy,
Oh,
he
really?
comes off as there's literally a song that calls him alpha male. Okay,
Ajay,
so
that's Ajay, right?
yeah, Ajay.
Yeah,
He was
Ajay
in
Devgan.
Disharum,
Yeah.
and he was in
Yeah.
RR, obviously,
yeah,
and
lots of stuff.
great. I loved it, and I'll talk about it. But you know, over the top works, and this one didn't
Right.
have to be. But
No,
you know,
I
and
agree.
I thought my favorite guy. I just thought Bobby was super cool. I just liked his attitude and
Great
the way he
hair,
looked.
too.
Great.
Yeah.
The way he looked, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I just liked him, and he felt most grounded to me, and their relationship felt real. The baby and him, and his
He had
relationship
great
to his
hair,
brothers.
too.
That wrestling match that sets up the beginning, where they're grabbing, like Drew was saying, they're grabbing each other's nuts and stuff. That was real. I mean, that's what we used to do.
Yeah, it's brothers brawling.
Right. So, I mean, I just thought right from the start they set up their characters, like Drew was saying. That one scene where they cut from Frankie playing soccer, whatever happens, to I think it's Bobby who starts eating the food first and drinks a little bit of whiskey or whatever went in, and then the other guy comes out. Anyway,
That's right.
yeah.
No,
So
Chris reminded me. I wanted to say one other thing. The director of photography, because this film is gorgeous. Same guy that shot Nayatu,
Oh,
and so there's clearly some talented people working in the biggest movies. But I liked how both of these movies felt like the way they were shot, like they were the real places that it was set.
Yeah.
But Nayatu was kind of bleak with some beautiful landscapes. This thing was gorgeous the whole way through, and still
that's
felt real. It didn't feel like a fantasy. It wasn't like Bahubali or something. It
and
was
supposedly
completely-
some terrible place they lived at. I mean, they kept commenting on if Frankie hated the house, like you said, but by the end, well, okay, spoilers now, spoilers. Okay,
We're in spoilers.
so I don't think. Okay, so the turn wasn't as now the turn happened when he stuck his head in the corner, right? That's
Right.
when it really. But if you notice, there's a kitchen
Well, let's
scene.
explain that for the. It's like
Well, I want to get to what he did
Okay.
first.
okay.
So there's a dinner scene he does where he takes his chair and he moves it from the side to the head of the table.
Right.
Okay. And to me, that started I know it's not subtle. He's saying, I'm the head of this family now. And this is where he really starts taking hold of that family and forbidding her from getting married and all that. So
It's
I didn't
interesting
feel
he
like,
asked the mother to sit down where he puts her.
well, he did,
And
but
then
he made a thing about how the fan is in the way or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to sit over here. But the move was to get him to the head of the table. Like I said, I'm not brilliant. That wasn't subtle, but that's what was going on there. So he now becomes the official head of that family.
the power move.
A total power move. And to me, that's what I mean. I don't think now the turn where he has the fight with her and he goes in the corner, that started the horror movie part of the show. Which like I said, I wasn't totally shocked that he was. I knew something was going to happen with that guy,
There was
and
a
I knew the brother.
disclaimer
I
at the
thought the
beginning.
last time that ball gets spiked, I thought Frankie was going to. Ultimately, Frankie is the one that comes in and saves the day. But I thought with that ball being spiked, something was going to happen about the soccer ball, and because he kept spiking that ball and popping it on them, the kids who kept hitting it into his yard.
I could see you making that connection, but I like how also nobody would have said, well, when he loses it, he's going to go stand in the corner.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
no,
was
I mean,
everybody
real-
out. Like
that was really freaky.
Like we were like, okay, I don't know where we're going. I'm not surprising he turned out to be as violent as he was, but I couldn't have predicted that was going to happen that way. And that then I don't know who they called his brother,
second.
his father.
Sounded like they
but
called a therapist. No, it was.
Oh, is
sounded
that,
like-
well,
yeah, that's
whoever
what
they
it
called
sounded
was like, oh, he has this problem,
Yeah,
and he'll be fine in
he'll be
15 minutes.
fine.
Don't talk to him. I'll
Don't
be over in
talk.
the
Don't
morning.
ask him about it.
Right.
Don't ask him
Oh my
about it.
God.
But then they do that scene where they come out of the bedroom and there he is standing with the shit-eating
But
grin.
he
on his-
doesn't. but
Time
he
for
doesn't-
sleep.
Him
Right.
Doesn't
standing
do
in the
anything.
corner was real J horror. They usually
Yeah.
had some girl standing.
Well, that's
in the
right out
corner
of
with a long
Blair
back.
Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to the head into
Scary.
the corner of the
Yeah.
building, and of course the music cued all that, right? Like Sean was saying, the music was horror music at that point. And so again, yes, it was a weird turn, but I was expecting that guy to be something was going to happen with him. and the brothers were going to come in and save the day. That's what I was expecting.
I was
didn't
expecting
expect
something too, but not that.
And that fight that they have looked legit.
Oh yeah.
It looks sloppy. You know, they're biting each other, and he's throwing sledgehammers around.
That was, oh my God, yeah.
And I tell you, you kind of expect it because you know Boney's tough. You know Sanjay's. You know they're all fighters. You'd think that the three of them would get this guy up, but this guy could take care of himself. You know,
he really did.
Well, he was a barber,
and he was psycho too.
He's a
and
barber,
was
of
using
course.
weapons.
He's a barber. What would you expect?
Well, when he pulled out the blade, I was like, "Oh, I do not want to see this."
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah.
and I thought the women were dead. I mean, I did.
thought the women were
I didn't
dead,
expect
too.
them to be alive, so that was.
Well, I also
glad
like
that-
that I spent some of the movie kind of hoping that his wife would maybe at the end she'll be able to get away. Her sister will help her, show her she doesn't have to have this life. Instead, her husband went completely batshit crazy, and she's free of him now. That was I liked. I was like, okay, she's going to be cool too. And even Mom looked like, all right, maybe that's enough of that. Although he didn't gag her because she never spoke against him, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the device. Okay, so we've seen them using their fishing nets throughout the film.
Right. That was
Beautiful shots, right? They even do it for the tourists, right? They hire them to do it for the tourists. To have that be the
But didn't
thing
tell
at the
him
end.
they were hired.
Right. You're just going to watch people fish. When real fishing is an industrial thing that you can go and make.
Well,
some
that
money.
Bobby ends up working at that frozen fish
Right.
factory. Just
It's all
to have
an
a
illusion.
job.
Shaking the
That's
fish.
the thing. All that stuff is an illusion, but the family that lives in a shithole and loves each other, that's real.
Yeah.
Although meanwhile, at the end when they have this wedding and everybody's leaving and you see the front yard and the lights are on the palm trees and all that. I mean, that house looked beautiful, even though it was
that last
basically a
shot
dump. It was beautiful.
That
what I
last
mean.
shot was beautiful.
Yeah.
And it had a Western toilet.
And it
Yeah,
had, right.
which is
Yes.
nice. I could use that.
Which
Yes.
they now did they bring that in for the tourists, or they had the Western toilet?
No, tourists didn't stay at that house.
Yeah, they didn't do stay homes or whatever they called them, homestays at that house.
Well, they said they got a toilet. I don't know. I thought it was for the tourists that they put that in
No.
for her.
No, someone
No,
probably
it was
dumped
already
it
there. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
because it's
probably
a dump.
somebody dumped it. Yeah,
Right.
That's fair.
So yeah, I guess I was expecting him to be okay. So back to the fishing net. So then that whole scene where the brothers are in there fighting each other, and the older one tells Frankie to go off. You see him signal him to go, and that scene where that door opens up and that kid comes in with that orange net. I mean, oh come on! I mean that was fantastic.
The guy was
Yeah.
smirking the whole time too, like
Yeah.
a psycho. I mean, it was like,
Well, he was nuts. There's
Yeah,
no
I know.
question. The dude was
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah.
So we don't really know what happened to him. I thought they were going to throw him in the water, but I guess they just had him arrested. We didn't see that. They cut to the wedding right from him being in the net. So I
Yeah.
wanted to see what would happen. But again, to me, that yes, the turn was extreme, but I was expecting something bad like that to happen. I don't know.
It just
guys
seemed
didn't
out,
feel it?
it just seemed out of place in that type of movie.
Mhm.
That he would, you knew he was going to do something, but you never thought it would be anything. At least I never thought it would be. Never would I have thought it would have been something like
Oh,
that.
that whole scene where he's peeping through the window when he
But
kicks the tourist out of
what
the
I
thing.
thought was
The
gonna
guy was a
happen
total
was-
creep.
She was going to end up hitting him with a frying pan or something. The wife. That's what I saw happening.
Hmm.
Maybe.
But what ended up happening.
What was the other stuff you were confused by?
I didn't understand when Sanjay hangs himself. I didn't understand who it was that got killed. Was that his partner, the
His
iron
partner who ran up on the roof
Yeah, I was
and jumped
confused
on the
briefly
beam.
on that.
I know why. No, I know why he died. I understand.
Yeah, that was his partner.
But I
who
didn't
he-
know who it was.
That was
So-
his business partner that really he didn't do any work. And people said to him, like, VJ does all the work. You're just a slacker and you just sit around, which we saw him do.
Wait, is
So
this the
then
ironing
VJ
guy? The guy who was doing the ironing?
It's the one they worked together on the street.
Yeah.
He was
That's what the
making
street
drinks or something. Yeah. And he told him, my wife's about to have this baby. So I think we're going to move to town. And, basically I'm not going to have any work for you. And then Saji, I think, really kind of lost his shit and got really upset at how people thought of him. And that was one of the most tragic things I've seen.
Well, that's the first time Bodie hit him, he said.
Yeah, right.
That was so he had
Oh,
that. He was having it bony. He had that
Yeah.
drink with his partner, and his
Yeah.
partner was even saying, "I know you've treated me like crap the whole time. I am here because I love you and I want to do this for you, and you've never
Yeah.
treated me well."
Yeah, I
And
didn't.
he ends up taking, saving the other guy
Yeah.
by taking his own. He
I mean,
didn't.
that scene.
He didn't
that
mean to
scene-
kill himself. He just.
Yeah,
No,
no, he
can't
died
do that.
saving
I know
him.
that.
Yeah.
He did it to save him. I get
Right.
why. I understood all of that. I just didn't know who it was and I didn't understand it. And I'm going, okay, then the wife showed up with the baby. I'm like, I didn't know who that was. So okay,
Well,
I
for me,
totally
I wasn't sure the guy had been killed because
Well-
he's at the police station and nobody ever said
That's what I
at
was
that
wondering
point.
too.
At that point, he was dead or not.
The cop
Turns
is
out-
like, "You're lucky she's not pressing charges." or
right, you're
something.
okay, you're good to go. But it
And
turns
then he
out,
slaps him.
she did that whole thing at the end. How her mother cursed her for marrying that guy, for eloping with that guy.
Yeah.
And this is all part of the. She figured
Right.
it's all part of the curse, and she's gonna. That's why she wanted to leave. She didn't want the curse to spread to that family.
Right.
And
But
then
his-
Sanji's sort of like ironic when he's like, "Oh, don't worry," it's like we're so screwed up already. It doesn't the curse, Then he's like, you could say you're our sister now.
Well, that's what they finally realized. That family is whoever you gather.
But the
and get
way he
together.
played it
There's
when
no-
he could, when
And
he,
did you notice all the father's pictures were up there too?
Yeah.
At the
he couldn't
wedding?
he couldn't cry, and then he went to the therapist,
Yeah.
and
The entire
then
guy's
he's
shirt was-
balling all over his shirt. That was funny. But
Yeah.
the way that's why I thought he was so great in this movie. I really
Yeah, I want to
enjoyed
see
his
more of him
performance.
for sure.
Yeah, really, really.
He's a
well
great
done.
character. Yeah.
Yeah,
He really did feel like the older brother holding it all together. He really played that. You believed that that's what he was doing.
he
I mean,
just
I did.
reminded me of you, Ralph,
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
because as my older brother, who used to grab my balls when I was a kid.
Well, you know what? You deserved
Well,
it.
they were just hanging there. What else are you supposed to do?
But yeah, I don't know anything. What else? Anything
My
else?
brother
that,
never grabbed my balls.
I'm
none
trying.
of them.
I can't think of anything that. To me, the culture of the marrying, the way these guys pick their wives and all that. I don't know if is that real? Is that how that goes?
I would
yeah.
say
This
yes, because
current-
it's in all the movies. Why?
That's what I'm wondering. I don't know if
You
it's a
can
heightened
watch.
version.
You can watch Indian Matchmaker season 3 on Netflix if you want. I mean, it's
I
a
flipped by that.
continuous.
Well, I mean,
great
Love Is
chronicle.
Blind does the same thing now with these people.
They were going to get
right
married
away,
without
but-
even kissing.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I mean,
Was that a condom he got at the end?
Yeah, because they told him they don't have enough room in the house.
That's
so.
what that.
but they were
Which is a
married.
funny joke.
Yeah,
no, but like, I
I
mean,
wasn't sure either.
I had a friend of mine, and I think I may have even mentioned it once before, but he basically, I essentially got his mom to employ a matchmaker for him. He was probably well into his 30s. He had a really good job and whatnot, but yeah, he just was having trouble finding a woman. And I think he actually went to his mom, and she was able to, I guess, probably engage a matchmaker. And last I talked to that guy, he's happily married. They've got two kids.
Wow.
His wife used to make the most amazing samosas for potlucks at our company. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that's my thought. I mean, I also had a friend who also worked at the same job. He went back to India for like 3 weeks, and then he was like, I'm going to stay an extra week. And then I was like, yeah, Rishi's never coming back. And he never did. I mean, he came back to get his stuff, but I think it was one of those things where he went over there. His mom introduced him to like, some different women that were available, eligible, and I think he
Wow.
got married. I
Amazing.
mean, he was a successful, software developer kind of guy, and
Yeah, no, I mean,
he
Orthodox.
had a good job.
Orthodox
He had a good
Jews-
job.
Orthodox
But-
Jews use matchmakers. It's not just.
No,
in
I know
India,
that,
it's-
but I guess it's
common.
just
it's very alien to us in America, where you
Yeah.
can get married and get divorced without having to involve a church or family approval if you don't want it, or even really have to say why either way. And
I don't even
so
know what that means. That's so
do
and
you
there is
mean?
one other thing.
you don't know what means.
I'm just kidding. Divorce.
You would know more than anyone, I thought.
Probably.
There's
I guess
actually
I should have.
a documentary called like Game Master, and it's about people who are making games, to like board games and stuff. And one of the people on there is an Indian woman who's literally created a board game about trying not to get married. And the bad guys that are trying to hunt her down are the aunties. They're after her and stuff like
I
that.
love it.
But she's like one vignette, so to speak, of the documentary, and it's interesting because she goes back to India for like her brother's wedding, and everybody's like, oh, if you release this game, no one's going to want to marry you. I was kind of it was very interesting, but it was just kind of funny that she came up with this whole game that was all about not being forced into a wedding. Anyway,
Wow. I love the the musical numbers in this. Some were very they're all spot on, but
Mhm.
some of them were in English and
Yeah.
some of them were not. And then I love that scene. It's so cheesy, but it works so well, where they transition into the harmonica and she's playing the harmonica,
Yeah.
the tourist,
Then Boney,
and then hands it to
Yeah.
Boney.
Boney.
Yeah.
and he plays it. That's the only time you've ever heard anything come out of his mouth, but they all
Yeah, it was
comment
funny.
on. It was, it was just a nice film.
Yeah, I thought the music
And,
was really beautiful, especially that hummed recurring theme.
There's
that's
a
in one of the
theme that they
songs.
have that
Ugh,
they pick up at
just
the end, too.
gorgeous.
And the
Just
canoe
gorgeous.
shots, the boat shots along the river.
Yeah, with that music.
yeah,
when
just-
Sati is bringing her newborn baby to the house, and she's holding it, and it looks like Catholic imagery of a mother with her head wrapped, holding an infant in slow motion. Coming. It was just beautiful, really gorgeous.
So, all right then, Zooby do or Zooby don't. It's all John. Are you Zooby do or meh?
If I think I'm between meh and Zooby Doo. It's not quite a meh. It's not quite a do. It's kind of between that.
I do know what you mean about the first. As always, a lot of these, especially character-driven ones, because they throw a lot of stuff at you, and frankly, these subtitles were whipping by pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
apparently
think
that language is spoken really fast. One of our commenters said.
It may be, but I think in this case, because everybody was so distinct, you could. It really. I got into it a lot quicker than I normally do, and I genuinely couldn't wait to see what was going to happen at the end. I just was floored by all the acting, and I couldn't wait to get. I mean, I don't want to rush to get to the end, but I couldn't wait to see what was going to happen, and I wasn't surprised. I was thrilled. So, great film, I think.
Agreed.
All right, should we
Agreed.
hit the wheel for the next one?
Yes.
Okay,
Wow,
there we
look-
are down to
that-
3. Go
That
ahead.
wheel looks lonely.
I know.
Yeah.
Wow.
We're
Look
really
how big
we're really
those
whipping through this.
pies are. Those pieces of pie. Wow.
All right, I'll let Sean. Are you gonna pronounce whichever one wins?
No.
All right, Drew, you're on.
I'll give it a shot.
There it is.
Doom 3.
That's easy to pronounce, actually. John, you happy?
Is Amir Khan in it? Oh yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
Now you guys haven't seen any of the Dooms, right?
No.
Do we need to see the other two?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
And this
Doom
is the one
is-
that takes place in Chicago, right?
Yeah, the Doom is about 2
Interesting.
cops actually from India, but the movies are about the villains. And the villain in the third one is Amir Khan, who's so
Really?
yeah, but he's a thief. But it's and that's like the Batman movies. It's not about Batman; it's about the villains. That's what it is in the Doom franchise. It's who's playing the thief. So so you don't have to see the other two. But yeah, so I'm curious to know what you guys are going to say about this one.
All right, but we're gonna let Sean announce it next week. You can't.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, I can't because I can't be neutral.
Right. So,
Yeah,
All right. So it's Doom 3. Very exciting.
Doom 3.
All right. So
Looking forward to it.
we should have people subscribe. And John, didn't the guy tell you how to say this? In
Oh
hit
yes.
the-
Oh
hit
wait,
the-
I got my. Yeah, he did. Wait a minute.
Smash
Talk
the
for
like
1
button.
second. Hold on.
God. John had a commenter explain how to say smash the like button.
In what language?
Like, to me, it's all Indian. I have no idea.
Yeah, it's
What
all
language,
Indian.
John?
Jesus Christ.
What? Jesus Christ.
It's all Indian.
I didn't say that. I said
You just said to me it's all
I said
Indian.
I'm going to say it's all Indian. I know it isn't. I know it isn't.
Wait, I want to say this right. Like button Komaro. Like button Komaro.
All right,
Okay.
I'll do it.
What language is that?
It's the same thing. One other thing I want to say, you
Was that the
guys,
Gideon Bible there?
a lot of you guys have been watching my 10-minute reviews. and
Well, not all the
I-
way through, to be
I
frank.
totally messed
And
up.
they're longer than 10 minutes.
I totally messed up on the movie Ganjini. Excuse me, it's Gajini,
Yes.
and I've been saying Ganjini.
Ganja.
Even the poster says Gajini, and I still screwed it up. And the other one is we're doing a poll on sports films, and somebody told me Swades was a sports film, and it's not. So, and it's doing very well on the poll. So I apologize for that. I'm doing the best I can. But please, as always, subscribe and hit the like button. It really does make a difference. And once again, even though nobody's watching at this point, if you're not getting notifications on your mobile device, on YouTube, it has to say all notifications, or you won't get
on your
every
phone. That's
notification.
literally
Your
at the
phone.
base level of the phone. You have to say
Yeah,
that.
it's
Right.
well, it's mobile
Or
It's
whatever. I don't know how. It
I don't
works.
know
Although-
why.
I mean, you could commit to obsessively checking starting on Thursday to see what has been published. And when you
Yes.
get there, if you didn't check on Tuesday, there might be something else that popped
Yes.
up, like a 10-minute review or something. So
Right.
it'll always be a surfeit of treasures.
But the problem is, we're telling people to subscribe and hit the notification button, and they're not getting notified.
I mean,
which
I
is
don't see.
frustrating.
I don't tell them that. You tell them that in different languages. I don't tell them that. So I don't,
But
What
you're
language?
thinking it, Drew. You want them
I am.
to.
I do. I
Yeah,
want
there
them
you
to.
All right. Well, there you
So
go.
anyway.
Doom 3 for next week. All right. All right. Everybody
Sounds
have a good.
great. I'm looking
Sean,
forward to this one.
we're sorry Debbie couldn't
Yeah.
make it again. You need to
Auntie
work those
Debbie's not
things out,
feeling
okay?
well again.
Sorry,
So
Auntie.
So
come back.
hopefully she'll be back.
I hope so.
Come on. I know you want to run that whole family, but let her join in. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't stick your head in the
Her
corner
sister
now.
and mother, I have to.
Don't go hide in the corner.
Nobody makes Debbie sit in the corner. Nobody.
Nobody.
All right, guys. Have a good week. See you
Yeah,
next
you
week.
too. All right.
See you guys.
Bye. See you, everyone.